Discerning Hearts presents In Search of the Still Point with Dr. Regis Martin. In Episode 3, Dr. Martin reflects on leaves fall, but they do not die.
Nice of you to come back. The most moving homily I ever heard was delivered, oddly enough, by an Irish priest in Atlanta, Georgia, whose name I will never know, even as the impact of what he said will remain with me for as long as I live. And it wasn't really anything he said, rather certain lines of poetry he quoted by Rainer Maria Rilke, a poem called Autumn, which goes like this. The leaves are falling, falling as from way off, as though far gardens withered in the skies. They are falling with denying gestures, and in the nights the heavy earth is falling from all the stars down into loneliness. We all are falling. This hand falls, and look at others. It is in them all. And yet there is one who holds this falling endlessly gently in his hands. It's a beautiful poem with a rhythm and imagery so lapidary that it might have been etched in stone, then inscribed upon the soul. And the words, well, they are as deeply consoling as any I've ever heard, spoken with such lucid, lilting insistence on the truth of what Rilke and the young priest had wanted to say. And what exactly was that? Only this, that the life we live is a movement between two great bookends, that of gravity and grace, the downward pull of the one, the upward surge of the other, so that at one end there is the awful weight of sin, depravity, and death. At the other, a sudden exhilaration of grace, glory, and God. And you and I, well, we are the middle point between the two, a sheer line of horizon betwixt time and eternity, human history and divine mystery, caught between two waves of the sea, the pull of Eros propelling us up to God, while at the same time there is the constant threatening presence of Thanatos to draw the soul down into doom and death. An excruciating tension, and who among us is equal to it, at once tethered to time and flesh, yet possessed of a soul that may at any moment find itself wafted into purest seraphic space, or plunged into the depths of hell. The high, untrespassed sanctity of space is how the poet John Gillespie Magee describes it, when one has suddenly, as he puts it, slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. And when the poet has at last trod those high places of the soul, he will put out his hand and touch the face of God. Only Christ, of course, enables us to pull off a miracle this sublime, because only he can mediate the difference between the heart that longs for release from sin and death and the head that knows there is always the fall back into finitude and desolation. Only Christ, in other words, perfectly occupies the point of intersection, the still point where all the polarities are reconciled and redeemed. The point where, as Dante reminds us in the Paradiso, every where and every when is focused. And so we may experience the happy predicament of being both in the body and at the same time beckoned by the love of Christ to surmount its limitations. Thus, when the leaves fall and far gardens wither in the skies, we do not despair in trusting ourselves to the one who holds this falling endlessly gently in his hands. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Dr. Regis Martin in Search of the Still Point. For more episodes in this series, visit discerninghearts.com, or you can find it in our free Discerning Hearts app or on many other streaming platforms. Discerning Hearts is a 501c3 nonprofit Catholic apostolate dedicated to evangelization and spiritual formation through the use of new media. To learn how you can support our mission, visit discerninghearts.com.